Well, howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. Yes, it is once again amateur artist Mark D. Chandler of Man Land. And I wanted to kind of show you an up-to-date on those two number 3, the Lodge and the Birmingham Stove and Range number 3 cast iron skillets I got. They're at a yard sale. Something interesting has happened. A discovery I made. It's not going to shock everybody else, but I thought it would be worth making the video, because to me, well, you know, I'm not an avid cast iron collector, so I don't get to see a lot of cast irons and, you know, go to these great big shows where they have a bunch of the vintage stuff out there, so I don't see a lot of the stuff. But I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I've learned a few things, and I actually have one to show you that's kind of neat. But first, now I got my pot holder here because I just, oh, by the way, the Dollar General Store version of the Easy Off Oven Cleaner works great. It does a fantastic job. These just got scrubbed down with soap and water, removed all the crud off of it, and man, it did a fine job. So these things are starting to rust now because this is bare metal, and I heated it up to dry the water off. So I'm gonna have to put it in a vinegar bath to try to get this little bit of rust and stuff off there starting to formulate. At least I think this is rust, because it appears mighty kind of reddish. A little bit reddish there. Now that's interesting to me, because it could be that it's slightly fire damaged, or heat damaged I should say. In other words, I believe, because this pan looks perfect, other than that real reddish brown kind of color there, could actually be that this was used on an actual wood stove. I mean the actual real deal back in the day. This is the number 3. It is 6 5. I think that says 5/8. 6 5/8 inch. I believe that's what that is. Yeah, there's no good sunlight out here. That's kind of interesting. In case you're wondering, there's the handle for you cast iron enthusiasts that know these things. Like I say, I'm still an amateur. Will always be an amateur. And that's the up and downs. Everything is pretty much immaculate, but it's a lot thicker. To be a vintage piece of cast iron, it's a lot thicker than what I expected. And the reason why I do believe, car, that one was going by really slow. One thing I noted is, you know, on the modern lodges, that type of cast iron, this has a gentle slope tapering up toward the top of the rim here, and the more modern stuff has a very prominent, like it bulges over and then goes in, you know, whatever you want to call that. This is a lot smoother of a transition, and you can actually see where they hit it with a grind rock, trying to smooth it off after the casting process. That's interesting to me. Even see some nicks. There's a few nicks. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not in the lid right here. It's not perfectly round. It's like a gouge and then a gouge, that type of thing. If you can see, I can't even see it on the camera, so I don't know if it's going to show up or not there. Maybe. But that was just kind of interesting to me. Now the Lodge number 3, same thing, got it good and cleaned out, everything's good on the inside. That's actually a little bit of rust there that was actually under the seasoning. I discovered that, just a tiny bit, but you know, a vinegar bath will take care of that. I'm going to show you the back side, and there's definitely a number 3, and there's the mold mark. It's a 3-notch, not made in USA, so I guess this is probably about 1950s or so. But here's the odd thing. Lodge, on their website, they absolutely pride themselves on top-notch quality. And from what I understand, they have rejects, and the rejects usually go back to be recycled. Now, I do know that Lodge has the seconds that you can buy, but this is a vintage piece of Lodge. Now, this is what got me. When I was scrubbing the crud off, this is what I found, and I thought I actually had a cracked pan. Let me show you this right here first. I don't know if this is going to show up here on the inside. Probably right there. See that little dip, that little well? Well, I know that's a shift in the mold. the molding process, which is made out of sand and such. And I've seen a few of those too, especially in modern day scenarios. But here's what's cool. This is when I got this stuff scrubbed off the back, I felt this and looked at it and said, there's a crack. There's a crack in this little skillet here. And it fooled me. It does look like a crack, don't it? It felt like a crack when I run my little plastic scrub pad across it. And it goes underneath this pan all the way around and stops right about here somewhere. But it runs right around here and then up the side. Well, folks, that's not a crack. That's another shift in the molding process. That's actually a little tiny, like a weld going across the top. This piece here is up higher than this piece. It's like someone took a piece of duct tape and laid it across it, and it became part of the pan. That's just neat. And I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, you know, Lodge, you know, you prided yourself on, you know, very, very good high quality pans. It's just odd that I actually caught this. You can see there on the edges where they hit it with a machine to take off the rough edges, and it comes across here. There's a little tiny gouge right there, but they totally didn't catch that and just kept on going around. I think if this was a modern day Lodge, if they hold up to the specs and stuff that they say that they're going to adhere to, well, this piece here right there, it kind of starts here and then runs under this part and then up the side. I think that's another shift in the mold, as they would, you know, say. That's evidently what it is. But I'm kind of actually proud to own something like this, because if they do actually hold themselves up to that standard of quality, and this is actually a vintage piece of cast iron, a Lodge number 3 with a Mold G on it, we got ourselves, I think, a very nice collectible find, because I think it's kind of rare that you find that type of defect in something that's supposed to be high quality, even back in the day. I mean, you don't get a skillet that's absolutely perfect, but that right there is, that's just kind of phenomenal. Now, you know, there's always a possibility that these two may have actually been made, say, in Taiwan or something. You know, they purchase the molds, or they copy the pans and they try to duplicate it and sell it, you know, as vintage cast iron. But I'm pretty convinced these are the real deal, because I'm not an expert or anything. But I did notice one thing between these two. The Birmingham Stove and Range here is a lot thicker than the Lodge. A lot thicker. And you know, I kind of thought that would be right the opposite, but now that I have them in my hand together, it's not. Just interesting. So just wanted to show that right there to you. I'm still amazed with the Lodge right there, that Band-Aid effect that's on there. That's just, to me, that's just cool. So my number 5 Lodge that I got, call him Chip. And he pretty much is a vintage piece as well. But the number 3 has even got its own characteristics about it. So yeah, gonna take care of these puppies. Gonna give them that vinegar bath, get all the rust off, and get ready to season the things and put them into action. That's just what it's all about. So, appreciate you watching. This is amateur artist Mark D. Chandler, once again from Manland, wishing you and y'all a very happy YouTube experience out there. And remember this: Lodge says they are proud of their high quality standards.